Welcome to the second episode of Business Events Decoded. My name is Sushil Shamlal Wadhwa, and today we have a wonderful guest on this show. He is an entrepreneur, and not just an entrepreneur, a very passionate, creative entrepreneur, a parent, an adventure, travel seeker, and a lover of life and all things beautiful, just like me, and also a very dear friend. Please put your hands together for Mr. Oum Pradutt. Welcome, Oum, on Business Events Decoded.
Hey, thank you so much, Sushil. Good to be here. And thanks for having me here. And most importantly, the description that you've given me looks like we're twins. So it's just perfect. The description was perfect for the two of us. Yeah.
You are my brother from another mother. I always feel that.
Absolutely.
So tell me, Oum, your company, Phase 1 Events and Experiences, has been around for a long time, more than 2 decades.
Yes.
And I think you've done some wonderful work. I would love to hear from you about what all is Phase 1 into all the vertical divisions that you have as a company.
Sure, Sushil. So we started in the year 1995. I founded the company in 95 after I quit a job with Godrej & Boys. And what we essentially do is we are the bridge between the principal, that's a corporate, as well as the stakeholder. So we began with doing events for corporate organizations, and that's vertical number one. And along the way back in 1998, we started doing events internationally. Our first project was in the UK for one of my clients. And that's when we started another business division, MICE division called Phase 1 Destinations.
Okay.
And 3, we have another special projects division within which we do projects for government, large government projects, festivals, our own intellectual properties, and social events. And the 4th is we've won a bid to create a massive concert arena at the Bangalore airport. That's a fairly large investment, and with some great partners, along with the Embassy Group and Live Nation. So that's been the 4 verticals that we have.
And you've got your hands full with all the verticals, as I can obviously see.
Loving it.
Tell us about your journey into the world of business events. How did you decide to get into it? How did you start? Let's go right from the start, from your schooling days.
Schooling, okay. Schooling was hardly there, or college, because I was pathetic from an academics point of view. And I'm happy, I'm unapologetic about the whole thing. But what I always was interested in was the theatrics, the drama, and so on and so forth. So from school, I was part of musicals, theatre, was a dancer. I always wanted to love to sing, but I was thrown out of singing classes because I was pathetic with my singing. So I settled down to just dancing and acting. So I did that through school. We did Andrew Lloyd Webber's musicals, which were reproduced here in India in a small way with my teacher Kevin Oliver. So I did Cats. I did Joseph and His Amazing Technicolor Coat. I did Witness and a few more such events.
Okay.
Then I got into choreography because at that point in time, breakdance and those are the things that were very popular. But then jazz wasn't really as popular. So I would choreograph for colleges, women's colleges, medical colleges while I was still in school. So all that was done.
Okay.
And then I moved on to picking up a first job, because after college you need to pick up a regular job.
Yes.
So I did pick up a job with Godrej & Boys. That was my foundation, where I was in a division called the Industrial Systems and Workshop Equipment, which is an engineering division. So that's where we were taught all about engineering, all about spatial designs, all about axial compression and uniformly distributed load and all kinds of stuff, which really kind of gave me a lot of great foundation. And with the kind of an organization that Godrej is, such a principled company with great ethics, values, principles, and vision. You kind of picked all these things while I was doing working with them. Worked for about 4 years.
Okay.
I decided that I need to move on, and because I wanted to pursue my passion of wanting to be part of entertainment, so to speak, which is when I quit and started Phase 1 as an organization. And right from day one, I started in 1995. 31st of July was my first event. And from then onwards, there was no looking back. So it was all along doing some very interesting creative projects for corporates. When there was no there were no mobile phones, no pagers, no internet. So it was a great phase. And for me, the whole vertical, the whole spectrum of now, from where we were then to where we are today with the kind of technology that we have, I think every day is such an exciting time for me to keep learning something new and kind of conjure up something spectacular every time. So that's about me. Yeah.
So when you started, it was phase 1, but you didn't change the name by every decade to phase 2 or phase 3.
There was a reason why I called it phase 1 for starters, because I always thought there was a conversation starter. Today you have the LinkedIns and the internet, and you have all the Facebook, etc. But I knew when I called it phase 1, first of all, it was an interesting name because it was the name of a store somewhere in New York. It was on an LP of one of my DJ friends called Ivan, on whose LP that I saw the name of phase 1, and I thought it was so non-self-explanatory, which means it need not just end with events. It could also get into films. It could get into anything. So I always wanted to keep it open-ended. And one of my friends, another friend from Ogilvy, gave me the byline that says phase 1 and things begin to happen. So with that, I didn't really have to go to phase 1 or phase 3 or phase 10. I think we're into phase infinity. So I'm happy with phase 1.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And tell me, what sectors do you do business events or MICE groups for typically? What industry sectors are your top client base from?
Predominantly lifestyle, apparel, IT services and IT products are the industries that go in for it. Yeah.
Okay. And what is the typical size of the business events, MICE groups that you'll end up doing?
Interestingly, for us, anywhere between 50 and 2,500.
Wow.
So it's such a wide spectrum. For instance, for Titan watches, we've done events at The Hague in Amsterdam, in Netherlands, for 2,000 odd people. And on the other hand, we've done another 900 packs event for Tanishq in Turkey.
Yeah.
Similarly, in Jordan, smaller events. But then there are the smaller ones like for Dell and other clients where we do events for about 150, 200 people. So the variety is a lot.
Which would be, like you already described, some beautiful destinations in Europe. I think we ended up meeting in Portugal on one of your recce trips.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
So besides the ones you already mentioned, Netherlands, a couple of other places, which were the other more frequently used destinations or popular destinations for you for your business events?
For our businesses, in fact, Czech Republic has been pretty most frequented.
Okay.
Prague has always been the flavor of the last few years.
Yeah.
And I've been saying, listen, guys, can we go discover some of the place? And then it's always been Prague.
Yeah.
But of course, along with you, I think we've done a few trips.
Yes.
So I think Europe is predominantly the flavor for most of the corporates.
Okay.
There was a time that they used to stick to the Far East and other countries in Asia.
Yeah.
But now I think it's Europe. We do a fair amount of work even in North America, but mostly it is in Europe. Yeah.
And what is the typical duration? Is it more 2 nights, 3 nights, 4 nights?
3 nights essentially.
Okay.
3 nights and 4 days is the standard size of our events. The worst case scenario is 2 nights and 3 days.
Okay.
Minimum.
And the type of hotel you would end up using, mostly 5-star luxury?
Always 5-star hotels, because the Indian consumers are very discerning.
Okay.
And they're very well, they're aware, because the kind of people that we work with, just to sort of establish this, it's not incentive trips.
Yeah.
These are serious conferences.
Yeah.
So you've got senior leadership, senior trade partners who are actually there to discuss work, to discuss business actually. So therefore they've traveled the world. Most of them have already traveled the world. They've seen every destination possible.
Yeah.
Therefore it's such a big challenge for us to curate something that is so unique. Even if you've been to Portugal, it's not about just going back to Lisbon again. What else can I do in Sintra? What else can I do in Porto? You've got to curate the whole thing just the way you do. So everything is always done very differently. Curated experiences from the kind of cuisine, from the kind of places that they visit, the kind of entertainment that we provide, the kind of sightseeing. Everything is handcrafted. Literally, it's kind of curated. So,
if you have to pick a few, I know it's going to be a very difficult question, because for me also it's the same one. Usually, when people ask me, "Can you tell me your favorite event?" I say I have more than 10, more than 20 of such favorite events. In your case, if you have to, let's say, try and pick your brains and tell me about maybe the biggest event, let's put it this way, whether it is your favorite or no, but there's usually one biggest event most people have.
True. I think the biggest event for us was the Titan BAM, the Business Associate Meet that happened in Amsterdam and Hague. One of the largest, and there were multiple events, multiple hotels, because the inventory you don't get a single hotel in Amsterdam which can accommodate so many thousands of people. So kind of finding the right segment of hotels, etc. has been a great experience and some incredible.
Nice. And that was how many nights? 3 nights? 4 nights?
3 nights and 4 days. And obviously, whenever someone goes to an international destination, at least 70% will actually prefer to stay back, especially if they go to Europe. That's the advantage with the European destination. With the Schengen visa, then you do your own thing, you get your families in, and then you do your own road trip and you travel around the rest of Europe and come back. So most often than not, about minimum of 60 to 70% of the people stay for another 3 or 4 nights and go back on their own expense. While the company takes care of the cost.
Tell me, obviously now COVID has changed the dynamics of our industry. It's no secret with airlines, hotels, tourism boards, borders closed. There's a huge challenge to the way the industry is shaping up. So what is your take on the way forward for the MICE industry or the business events industry?
Sure. So I personally think that the borders, it's a very interesting period, especially for Indians. For us, I think we'll have to look inward. Gone. So this is a time to discover your own monuments, your own cities, experience them. So I think each country is going to do the same thing. They will try and see how much they can optimize and harness their own venues, their own countries and cities. And I do believe for the next couple of years or more, until the fear of this whole, minimum for 3 years, I think, until the vaccine is really found, people will continue to be skeptical to go out of the country, leave alone. Even within states, it's going to be pretty difficult. So there's a perfect time for each state to really sort of ramp it up and reinvest in monuments and in all kinds of infrastructure and experiences and resorts where people will come back and actually you'll still get back your things. You can galvanize it within your own states. So you'll see most movement happening within the country. According to me, this is the time we need to collaborate.
With a large number of people coming together, is that going to happen? Because one of the main important things why people go out of India is also the shopping, the sites, the nightlife, a combination of everything that these destinations offer. India, while has beautiful places, but it has limitations in nightlife, I would say, especially as compared to abroad, when you compare to any destination, Europe or Thailand or Dubai. So a lot of reinventing, but the challenge is the number of people. If there is a limit to 50 people or 60 people at one point, then the 2,000 people events will take a long time to come. Right?
No, I don't see 2,000 people events happening for the next 3 years for sure, because this whole social distancing has really kind of thrown everything out of the window for us. So therefore, I don't see large number of events happening, but there will be smaller sort of more curated, more intimate number of people who will be going out, more safer, number one. Two, like you rightly said, in terms of the nightlife, etc., that people need to really, that's what they've always preferred, shopping and everything, will take a backseat in any case, because people are going to be conserving cash. So that being said, I don't think that's going to be a very essential part of the travels or the experiences of conferences. Just like how Maharashtra government has done things, and I think they've kind of opened things up. There are 24-hour, shopping opportunities and restaurant dining out opportunities. I believe that every other state needs to pick from there, replicate the model if they really need to sustain, and actually be able to and actually welcome more corporates and more individuals to come to their respective states and compete against each other. And that's going to make it so, like they say, Sushil, necessity is the mother of invention. And therefore, I believe that now, no matter how archaic the rules were, people will start opening up. Revenues need to come in. Excise, you need to fill in the coffers of the excise and the state exchequer. So you will have a lot more exciting destinations to discover, which have hitherto never been discovered before. So I think this is a great time to discover your own country. Go to the Seven Sisters towards the east or whatever else it is. There's some amazing, I really think you have the world within India. You've got the mountains, the deserts, the rivers, the oceans, the forests and the hills. I think time for us to just come back and value what we've always had. And let's do something fantastic, Sushil. Let's curate some luxury experience for that.
Besides the Seven Sisters, I guess, in India.
I beg your pardon?
We need to get the 700 sisters besides the 7 sisters. Now,
absolutely.
Talking about necessity is the mother of invention. Phase 1 was one of the first companies, Oum, and I was really impressed with that when I saw the campaign, that usually when we talk about events, we say the show must go on, and you use the line, the show must go online.
That's right.
I thought that was very clever and very, very creative.
Thank you so much.
How you thought about that, and how did you what was that whole event all about?
No, I mean, we discovered that during this phase, it's all about, we are now look at what we're communicating within these little 12 inches. This is what we've got, and that we're consuming things out of. Whether it's high quality, original content from Netflix, or if it's from your mobile phone or a little computer or your big, large television, you need to create things which are from within this little space for people to consume.
Correct.
What are we going to do that? Yes. All of us need to necessarily become broadcasters.
Yes.
Which means we need to go online. Therefore, the show must go online and not just on. So I think it is something that one of my colleagues, I've got a fabulous team, and I've got such a creative team. They came up with this line, and I said, guys, let's embrace this and let's kind of propagate this. And which is when we've now, so ever since we've discovered that, we've constantly been creating beautiful content for our clients and for the regular citizens.
You've been keeping yourself busy with a beautiful film which I saw about. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So, I have to track back a little bit. The minute the lockdown really happened, we were privileged because we work with the Karnataka government, with the government a lot, different departments. They reached out to us and asked us if we can help them set up their war room to distribute food for 2 lakh people.
Okay.
And when we started doing that, we felt that it's the perfect time to bring in technology, and got the government to bring on board Swiggy. So what happens is you do real-time tracking of where the food is being delivered. Is it being delayed? Is it really being delivered? So on and so forth. So that was a brilliant way to bring in technology. So it's not within the screen. It's also about how you apply your thought to how you can make this whole intervention happen in a way that it's delivered efficiently. That's number one. Yeah. The minute that happened, we started thinking, we didn't, unlike a lot of other people, everybody started saying, I'm doing online events. And I said, let's sit back. Reskill ourselves. The whole team was only absorbing various kinds of content that's being put out there, understanding what's happening globally. We started we spent time absorbing and making good use of our time. And then after that, we said, okay, let's go and experiment with something. So we tried to do a ticketed event. Danish Seth is one of the most incredible content creators in the country or around the world. And so we got, so he came up with the whole idea of creating this whole roast Danish, at AIB. And then that was a sellout. We said, okay, we'll wrap it up within 5,000 tickets. It was a sellout. Last day, I was still getting people saying, listen, can I still buy tickets? And we said we were down. 12 noon, we were shut down and we're done. Not that we had a limitation of a space, but we still did it just to see the kind of traction that we get for monetization. However, all that money went for a cause. We didn't really want to sort of make that money. Okay. So, which is the reason why you had people like Kubra and Danish and S.A. Arvind and a whole host of other amazing creators and stand-up artists who came together and did that event. That's number one. Yeah. Then I said, okay, let's do something more. Then I reached out to all my friends that because we've been doing work with some incredible artists around the world. We reached out to people within India. So we reached out to Salim, who's an amazing human being, great man at heart, Salim and Suleiman, along with Kailash Kher and Javad Ali, to Nitya Menon, who's one of the actors from the movie Mission Mangal. Yes. And a whole host of other artists who all of them came together, and we curated our own, we produced our own concert online where people actually shot from their phones, from their homes, put this together, and then we really kind of broadcast that on the Live Nation website because they're our partners with the airport. Okay. So the kind of visibility was really, really high. So we were experimenting with all these things. Then I said 2 or 3 months back when the lockdown started, I said, let's also, here's where I want to pause, Sushil. The reason that song came out, the one you're talking about, that I want the whole world to see, it's because I said, when this pandemic hit us, it isn't just about India or one Maharashtra or Punjab who's suffering. The whole world is suffering, right? Yes. And we saw how things panned out in Italy. Then it moved on, from China to Italy to Iran and every other part of the world. Yeah. I really genuinely felt pathetic about it, and I said, look, it's not even like the 2008 economic recession. It's a pandemic. So I said the whole world has been reset to zero. Which means politically, economically, and socially, we're all back to zero. Yeah. And for me, I said, if you're back to zero, we're all building from now. There is no question of saying I'm a superpower, I'm a developed country, or I'm an underdeveloped country. We were all in the same in the same space. So then I said, why don't we give them all a message, honestly from the heart? Why don't we give the whole world a message from India? So that's when I started seeing so many anthems that were doing the rounds with, which had their own flavor. They're all beautiful, but I wanted to do something for the world, which is when I reached out to my friend Raghu Dixit, who's one of the prolific sort of performers, artists that I've worked with for the longest time.
Yeah.
And he came up with this beautiful tune, and of course the lyrics was written by his own lyricist, which says, "May the whole world live in happiness, and may all the worlds live in happiness." And the minute he came up with this beautiful Sanskrit line which says, "Sukhino bhavantu," that is a beautiful one. I said, let's do it. Then I went about asking the same artists, asking my friends, asking everybody to be featured in the whole video. So we have from Boman Irani to Shibani Dandekar to Dino to everyone was part of the whole video, including Yash, who's a huge hit in with those KGF movies. Multilingual film. We also had Rajnikant's wife, Lata Rajnikant, was part of it. So I think it was not just actors, but they were industry leaders like Kiran Mazumdar Shaw. Some really big, really amazing people who are part of the whole anthem, and we convey the message to the world. And if you haven't seen it yet, time for you to head out there and watch this. It's on our YouTube channel. You got to watch it.
I'm guessing whatever you just said that you did as a company is also great advice for all other companies in COVID times, where in general business events is just come to a standstill. So one of the questions was, what would be your advice to the other companies in the MICE industry? I would say whatever he just said, consider that as an advice that you can, in your own space and in your own geography, think of something that can take the show online. It doesn't have to be an anthem, it can be anything else.
Sure.
Basically brainstorm and come up with unique ideas. Last question, what would be your advice to people who are looking at getting into the MICE / business events industry?
Okay, let me address the first one first, and then I'll go to the second one, right?
Okay.
Now, whether you're in the MICE business or whether you're in a manufacturing industry or a service, any kind of a service industry, I believe you as an individual needs to actually get your act together.
Yes.
Then what you believe is what is going to spread, and that's what people will kind of embrace and inculcate. So I think it all begins with each and every one of us. And what I mean by saying that is, we need to stop thinking that, okay, the world is coming to an end, and so therefore, the statistics say that, you'll recover after 3 years or 6 years. None of these things are going to work. You're going to just throw all that out of the window, number one. Because it starts with each and every one of us, right? So we can't afford to continue to be farmers. Like, farmers say, I've got my 10 acres of land, and if it doesn't rain, there is no monsoon, it's a washout that year, and then I'm at a loss. No. Instead, learn to be a hunter.
Yes.
If you're a hunter, if you don't get your meat from a particular jungle, you're going to go to another jungle. If you need to go 500 kilometers, you will go 500 kilometers, pick that your prey and bring it back. So, and you're going to still feed your family. So I believe the minute you do your mindset shift and say, I will be a hunter than being a farmer, your first battle is won. Now, what do I mean by that? It's not like all of us have a solution to, there's no, a magic potion that says, this is what you've got to do. But what each and every one of us needs to do is to say, look, what can I do that will make a difference, despite the government's, issues, or despite the pandemic that's happening around us, friends getting infected, whatever. You've got to know one thing, that none of us has any control over what's happening around us.
Yeah.
But we do have control over the way we react to what's happening around us. Correct. Which means you just need to be smart and just react differently and say, look, if there is something that's happening, what can I learn from there, and what can I change? What can I incorporate? Yeah. So the long and short of the whole thing is, don't wait for the world to come and help you, or your colleagues or your family to help you. You help yourself. You put on the mask in the aircraft first, then you can help 20 other people, passengers with the same mask, with the other. So first, put on your mask. Stop worrying about other people. Start thinking of yourself. Start thinking of your organization, your family. You will come up with a solution. But to do that, you've got to be positive. You've got to know that it's not permanent. If the whole world is going through it, there is some kind of a solution that will be found. But while the world is finding a solution, you've got to find your own solution. You've got to find your own bliss. Like I recently heard Deepika Padukone saying the other day. Find your own bliss. You will find it. It's there in us. But we're not looking for it. We're looking everywhere else. Fill your mind with positivity. Stay positive and hopeful. The solutions are going to be found, because I found my solutions.
Yes.
I've figured out already what I'm going to be doing, how I'm going to be dealing with multiple businesses, multiple verticals, how people are going to be inspired, how we need to stay inspired. And when I speak to a client, Sushil, they say, hey, Om, what's happening? I say, life's amazing. They say, you're the only guy who's saying this. How come? Because I do feel it's amazing. Life is amazing. It's a great challenge for us to come through. Imagine if you're going to get through this in the next 1 or 2 years, you look back at it and say, listen, I stood tall. And each and every one of us who's watching this will be standing tall. If only we say, we will kick it.
Yes. And by the way, that makes two of us who keep saying life is amazing.
Life is essentially beautiful.
How are you doing? Because everybody must be thinking all work is finished. These guys must be down and trim. I said, life is amazing. Business is on vacation for the time being. But
exactly. Conserve cash. Hold on to it. Everybody knows about the whole thing.
Correct.
And the other thing that, we all need to understand. So coming back to the mice business you were talking about, right? That's the second piece is collaboration, right? If Swiggy can do, if you need food from a particular place and it's being home delivered to you, why can't hotels do the same thing for themselves and say, listen, I'm not going to always say that my food is going to cost you 3,000 plus taxes. Figure out what you're going to deliver for breakfast. Figure out what you're going to give us cookies and coffee or your hot chocolate every morning, or tie up with the right people. Enable the whole thing. Be available on platforms across Zomato, Swiggy and everything else. And even your 5-star hotel could be consumed in your houses, as long as you make it affordable, as long as you make it palatable. Yes, you keep your packaging, that's amazing, but you can still deliver these things.
Yes.
Number one, right? Then from an airline point of view, of course, we need to wait. We'll have to wait. That's fine. But hotels can really still do a lot. For instance, Sushil, one of the events that we're doing an event for a massive number of people for one of the large corporates in the country.
Yeah.
And I said, when you're doing online events, and I'd like everybody to know this, it's not enough to say that, okay, I'm keeping you engaged on the screen from the morning 9 o'clock the whole day conference. Why not tie up with all those 8,000 people who are going to be at the conference, and then on that day, you coordinate with the Amazons of the world to deliver the best headsets before you start the show.
Correct.
So what happens is, you are consuming that content in a much better way than to listen to your laptop speaker, maybe, number one, right, from a music phone. Secondly, the kind of deliveries that you can do, the kind of products you can give them. Secondly, your human intervention comes when, at exactly 9 o'clock in the morning, the doorbell rings. Like your Uber delivers your stuff and Swiggy delivers, you've got your cookies and you've got your coffee. You're sipping it up. Lunchtime, you've already pre-ordered. So you're getting the best food that you really want to. So you've got to slice and dice the different things and bring in some human intervention. And then this is a time to collaborate. Don't try to make, everyone's in the same thing, right? So if you have an asset that's costing 10 crores, don't think, I need to make my 10 crores. You got to say, hey, listen, we're all making 3, how can all of us share the same thing? So whether hotels, airlines, travel agencies, event agencies, consumers, I think it's a perfect time to collaborate. You will come up with solutions where you will still be able to make business. That's what my thought is.
Great. So everything will be well in the end. If it's not well, it's not the end. So keep going till then.
And if you believe that things are going to be coming to an end, live your life now beautifully. It's fine. Don't stress. Because I always say during every session of mine, I say, become a billionaire of moments. Because you got to have every moment you live it beautifully. You become a billionaire. Forget about the money. You think you're going to live so beautifully. So if I'm going to, personally for me, Sushil, if I'm going to go tomorrow, I think I'll live my 50 years so beautifully. It doesn't matter. It's fine. We're all of us have to go one day in any case. But how well are we going to go? That's the key. That's it.
I think the reason why I feel that we are brothers from another mother is because I've created another brand called Billionaire Lifestyle, and I'm posting almost every day about that.
That's amazing.
In luxury yachts, in private jets and so on.
Yeah.
At least I can live it virtually right now. Maybe thoughts will manifest itself into reality after all this is over.
It will. So with someone like you, I'm so glad I'm doing this session with you because, buddy, I'm so inspired with everything that you do. The trips that we've done, whether it's, we've been in Vegas together, we've been in Frankfurt together, we've been in Portugal together, every place, you and I have always had the best time because we've had the best of wines, the best of conversations. We've taught people the Indian yoga on the streets.
Absolutely.
We've done everything possible, man. I think it's great. Thank you so much.
I think our next trip is going to be a private jet journey.
That's what it is.
Full island.
Flatbed, maybe maybe a 12-seater if you want
to. Absolutely. 14-seater with 8 first class full beds.
Perfect. I'm on. Let's get out. Whatever I have, I'm going to burn it into this one. Let's go for it.
Sounds good. Sounds
like a plan.
Thank you so much for joining us, Om. It was such a wonderful session.
Thank you very much.
We have crossed our time for the episode. So I'm going to summarize, and firstly, thank you for taking the time to be a part of this and sharing your journey with our viewers. And a message to the viewers, thank you for watching this till the end if you have, and listening to Oum Pradutt, one of the most fascinating entrepreneurs in the event industry today. Somebody who's always coming out with path-breaking innovative concepts. And thank you for watching this episode of Business Events Decoded. And hopefully we will catch up very soon once again with another wonderful leader from the industry. So till then, saying bye-bye. This is Sushil Shamlal Wadhwa. See you soon. God bless.